Hi everyone, I'm here today with resilience coach Najda and today we're going to have a bit of a chat on giving and receiving feedback. Najda, why don't we start with you? Can you give us maybe one or two tips to start off with on what you would say to somebody who wants to give better feedback?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Thank you for being here and having the opportunity to talk about feedback, and especially from a resilience perspective, because we all know if we get feedback, positive or negative, that will impact us, and especially negative feedback, I'm not taking it personally. So one of the best tips that my dad actually gave me when I was a kid was your words should be better than your silence would have been.
Okay.
So again, your words should have been better than your silence would have been.
Right. So is this saying that is this like saying if you can't say something nice, say nothing at all?
Not necessarily, but it's more about if you actually say something, it needs to actually have value and needs to change something. So if your silence would actually achieve the same outcome as saying something, probably easier to be silent on that matter, right, if that makes sense.
So it's about not wasting time more than anything else.
Not wasting time, energy, and also causing negativity and something negative. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Great. I'll admit one of my top tips, which I learned from Toastmasters many years ago, is very well known. It's the feedback sandwich, and that's where you start off by saying here's an element, a praise, and then here's an area of improvement, and then finishing up with an element of praise, and the idea there is that you're opening to break down barriers, and your closing leaves the person walking away feeling more positive.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about this?
Yes.
Because I used to do this with my team members, and I have some people, they only hear the middle bit. Yep. They don't hear the beginning and they don't hear the end. They focus on, and I know that's a mindset. It's just like seeing the negative thing and just like remembering that part of the conversation, which was that little. Yes. How do you actually make sure that they also hear the beginning and the end?
I'd say it's part of it is keeping it relevant. So making sure that, in the case of providing, I'll actually start off by providing positive feedback first, because that can be almost harder in that model than providing criticism. In positive feedback, making sure that you start off, I love the way you did this particular report. Then the improvement is taking yes, you've achieved X. How do we then take it to the next level? Next time, it'd be great next time if you could space it out more. So you've done a great report. If you could space it out more, that'd be even better. And then finishing up with, and what's the next step? How are we going to, how are they still a good person? How is this going to make them better? And by having it laid out better, I think we'll take this report, which I'm going to take and use. It'll be even easier for me to use. So explaining why it's going to be better. And again, you're still going to use it. So there's the finish up praise, and then taking that to the next level. When it comes to criticism, yes, most people will focus on the negative. I'm not quite sure of the psychological aspect of it, but it seems to be that we always have this risk aversion, this negative bias to a lot of our thinking. Starting off with that breaking down of if somebody's coming in for criticism, there's often a chance that they'll already know. They'll already be expecting it. Mm-hmm. So making sure that they understand that first bit of praise is actually one of the keys to preventing the criticism, the negative feedback from really affecting them. And likewise, making sure that it's very, very small, very precise, and very focused, so that they tie into an action rather than them as a person. So, you know, oh look, you've been doing a lot of great work here. This report you did, the formatting didn't quite meet what we needed. This is what we need to do to fix it. And then moving on to, I know you can do this. Okay, and I'm here if you have any questions to ask to make certain that we get it right next time. So again, it's saying that you're, you know, oh, here's a problem, go away and fix it. No, here's a problem, we need to fix it together.
Nice. I like it. And what I really liked, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, they try to find a positive introduction feedback, but it's something totally different. And I think it makes sense that you talk about the same topic. So about the report, what is good, and not like, you have very nice handwriting, or you look beautiful today, and then talk about something that has nothing to do with it. So talk about the same topic. I think I think a lot of people struggle with that, to actually, I like that. And to answer,
sorry?
I just wanted to jump in because you asked, what is is there some psychology behind why we tend to be more negative? Yes, we are programmed to be a bit more negative. If you actually do questionnaire testing, people are slightly more negative, pessimistic. It's protective pessimism. So that is evolutionary. We are, as you said, we are looking more at the risk. If we actually are all optimistic all the time, that wouldn't be good. So we are slightly programmed to be a bit more negative. Slightly. So not 50-50, that doesn't exist. We are always a bit more negative, which is good. It's a good thing.
That natural risk aversion. Question for you. You mentioned going in and I've already said making sure that keeping feedback relevant. Is there something you can do before you start providing feedback?
Before you actually provide feedback, always ask yourself the question, what is my intention here?
Your intention?
So what is my intention? Yes. So before I actually go and tell someone they are great or they are not so good, what they've done, always ask yourself, what is your intention? So if your intention is like to give it to them and get all your emotions out and say like, I don't like how you do this, what is your intention there? Is it to hurt that person? And what is it? What are the consequences? The consequences are that your relationship won't be good. The person won't trust you, especially if you're a leader. The person won't trust you, or if you have a staff member that struggles, that puts more stress on them. They won't come to work and will be happy. They feel constantly stressed. And especially as a resilience coach, I have a lot of these conversations where people don't feel comfortable showing up as their self.
Right.
They feel like always under stress.
Yes.
So as a leader, what you can do is before you give feedback, whatever kind of feedback it is, ask yourself, what are my intentions? And if the intention is to help that person to be a better version of themselves, if you have this already in your mind, number one, it makes it easier to frame it up, to start the conversation. And I know we all feel a bit uncomfortable raising some issues at times. If we actually know why we're doing it, it makes it also easier for us to not wait, because sometimes we wait a bit for too long.
Right.
So always ask yourself, what are my intentions? And if you're clear about your intentions, that makes everything easier. Beginning the conversation, also how you will have the conversation.
Excellent. All right. So I think you actually squeezed in a second one there. So making sure you have an intention, having a goal for the feedback, so a desired outcome.
Yes.
And making sure that it's timely.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we unpack that? So is this, we wait for the next, we wait for the next, the next meeting to do it, or? What does it mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of us tend to do, and so like, oh, we just wait for that. But sometimes if you wait for it, the time has passed
Mm-hmm.
and it's no longer relevant. You said like it has to be always relevant and it has to be always timely.
Yeah.
And if we actually, let's say, wait a week, we actually, our memory is not the best, right? I don't know about you, but I don't remember what I had yesterday for lunch. So and we fill the gaps. You remember what you had for lunch.
I was reading something along those lines, and actually the human memory is perfect for about 2 minutes, was what I was reading.
Yeah, not surprised. And we fill the gaps, right? So we fill the gaps and we make things that were not as bad extrema. We actually putting the blanks in instead of actually addressing it now. And the chances that person that maybe did something in a meeting that you didn't like and you're concerned about how they presented something and how the relationship might actually change with a customer,
Yeah.
and it's well intended, use the time when it's really fresh in everyone's mind. Because if you give me feedback about something that I've done wrong, I probably
Mm-hmm.
can't even remember that. So use it when it's still fresh.
I
So
have that
everyone
problem
can,
on a
you can unpack.
regular basis with the kids. So you did this yesterday. I did what yesterday? Oh, I didn't.
Exactly.
Yes. I have it on video.
So yeah, always be timely. And again, when you pair it up with the intention, so why do I go in straight away and say like, look, I saw that. I know that you're really great. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. This is how it might came across. So let's just good intention, right? And you do
Yeah,
timely, and they remember. So that is the best way you can do it.
excellent.
And
All
of
right.
course, don't do it in front of everyone. So like, you said this. No, just find the right time. So timely
Discreet.
doesn't mean like when it happens. So also accept the privacy and also the relationship, right? If you do it in front of everyone,
Yep.
that will damage your relationship for sure.
I
Yeah.
I totally get it. Yeah, and it's the when giving feedback, of course, it's one of my top tips is not only to have a structure to it, because that helps you be consistent as a leader,
Yes.
but also making sure that your feedback is genuine. So
Mm.
one of the big things, and again, I draw a lot from experience from childhood and my children's childhood now, is it became a big thing in the 1980s and 1990s to, as my dad put it, celebrate mediocrity. Um, so, part of being genuine is making sure that if you're giving somebody praise, it's for the right reason. If you're giving them criticism, it's for the right reason. So tying back into that intention, with everything, having a goal, having a benchmark. So when you're setting somebody a task, making sure they have a benchmark, making sure they are clear about that benchmark. If they meet that benchmark, congratulations, you've met the benchmark. If they exceed the benchmark and you're giving them praise because of it, then you can tell them how they've exceeded the benchmark and why that's a good thing. Likewise, if they haven't met the benchmark, then you can also say, well, here's the gap, here's the bit that you missed. How are we going to fix that? And again, if you're being genuine, if you're approaching it with that right intention, as you said, then you will nearly always wind up with somebody who walks away going, oh, who has learned and will improve. And if your intention is to help people learn and improve, which I would hope as a leader it is, then that can only go one way, and that's good. On a similar note, again, something they taught us with the children: praise the person, criticize the action.
I love that. So true.
Because it is so easy, and again, this ties back into the where criticism and praise fit. Most people believe that they're good, and they try to be good, but they're human. They occasionally make mistakes. So if you say, yep, in this particular instance, we didn't meet the mark, we got something wrong, it was a human mistake, but you're criticizing the action. So not you did the wrong thing happened. Small change in word, small change in wording, but it makes a big difference to the person on the other side who says, oh, something bad happened. Okay. And it gets them from, instead of being defensive, and you'll see defensive people crossing their arms all the time, it starts activating that problem solving part of the brain instead.
Nice.
And of course, if you want to make people better, you present them with a problem that they want to fix to get a better outcome. So yeah, praising the person. So always try to make a person feel good, and they've done the right thing. They've done it because it's a genuine, you've not only met the benchmark, but you've exceeded the benchmark. It doesn't matter whether it's down here or up here. If they've exceeded the benchmark, let them know. Because if somebody exceeds the benchmark and they see that it's recognized, there's a very good chance they're going to aim to exceed the benchmark again in the future. When you're criticizing the action, making sure that it's the action you criticize, it's the situation that we wind up in, not the person causing it. Because that implies that there's intent, and most people don't intend to get it wrong.
Can I say two things about that? Because I totally agree with this. From a psychological perspective, if you say you are, that means it's a trait. That means you can't change it.
Yes.
You are lazy. You are dumb. You are useless.
Yep.
That means, like, it's, as you said, it's personal, right? It's all me.
Yep.
And I can't change it because that's the way I am.
Yeah.
And that's really bad. Award, I don't know, that might actually work for kids as well.
Actually, that's the recommendation. It does.
Yes.
It does.
And there is, like, have you heard of like iMessages that you so that works really, really well when you give feedback. And what psychologists do, especially in couple therapy, but you can, I mean, like leader and team member, there's also relationship. So you can also use that, is that you start your statement with, I have seen this and this, and you actually not saying like you, but you describe a behavior, and then you actually put all the attention on yourself and said, like, this makes me worried. I feel like violated, or whatever words you want to use. So you actually reflect on you and pretty much say, this is my perception. It's not what your intention is, but this is my perception, that behavior. And then closing, if it's appropriate, what I would like to see, and as a leader we can say that a bit more often than others, I guess. What I would like to see is that I see that Ian that is always proactive, and I know that's in there, and I would like to see that more. So that can be really, really powerful. Yeah.
While we're talking about giving feedback, what about receiving feedback? Because receiving feedback, there's a lot of people out there who aren't really good at that in either direction. I've got a couple of thoughts. Where would you start with somebody receiving feedback?
Oh, you did. You actually pretty much nailed it. I think a lot of people have the mindset, if I need to grow and if I want to be a good employee, I need to ask for feedback. But I think, as you said, like, a lot of people don't understand, when you ask for it, you need to be also open to receive it, right? And a lot of us, like, we ask for feedback, it's like, I want to grow. And then we actually feel offended. So just like whenever you ask to receive feedback, actually be open to receive it, whatever comes, right, in any form, shape, and always, like, remember the intention. It goes all back to intention. So when you ask for it, mentally prepare yourself and listen.
Right.
That makes sense. What is your
I'll start off because one of the things that I've noticed is that not everybody, funnily enough, can accept praise.
That's true.
Not many people. Now, part of this is because what I was saying before about praise, especially being genuine. A lot of people don't give genuine praise. And if you feel that somebody's giving you praise, but it doesn't feel right, there's probably a good good reason for that. And accepting praise, first of all, if somebody's praising you, say thank you. At the outset, just say thank you. Okay? If it doesn't feel completely genuine, ask more questions about it. Ask questions. Okay, so you said I did a report. Great. What did you really like about it? What made it stand out for you? Oh, the formatting was really good. Oh, okay, great. Excellent. Is there something else I could do to make it even better? So again, there's that with praise. I'll go to criticism. Somebody's come to you and they've said, "Oh, Ian, we've got a problem." Oh, okay. Ian, you didn't do this report right. And I always focus on the report because they're easy. You didn't do the report right. Oh, okay. So they've already come to me and told me that I'm a bad person. So first of all, I need to change my own mindset that no, I'm not a bad person. They're actually criticizing my actions. Okay? I've made a human error. So now it's my job receiving this feedback of what can I do to acknowledge it, repair it or rectify it, and then improve. Okay, and if if you're receiving negative feedback, which is so often the case when you are receiving from a manager, not many managers know how to approach feedback in that way. So it becomes up to you receiving it to provide a bit of structure around it and how you are going to make it better. So acknowledging, okay, I accept the report didn't come out right. How do we fix it? And it can often be that simple as saying, okay, what can I do to make it right?
I agree.
Because that then demands the other person to actually have a solution. And if they don't have a solution, then you move into the problem-solving mode together. And then, of course, the next step of that is not only once you've solved that particular problem, how do you prevent it from happening in the future? So what can we do? What can we change? And this ties into quality systems as well, where there's that cycle. I remember it as the Deming cycle. It's got lots of different names, but it's a quality cycle of you identify something, you make a plan to fix it, you fix it, and then you go back round onto how we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. How are we going to improve the system?
I like it.
So that's
Makes sense. Yeah.
True for praise. It's true even more so for criticism. And in both cases, I always tell people, look for the opportunity. When you're receiving praise, look for the opportunity to grow even faster, to grow even further, to extend yourself. You've done great. Excellent. Give yourself a pat on the back. What's next? Because as human beings, we want to grow. There's this innate desire in most people to grow and improve. If you're receiving criticism, it is still an opportunity to grow.
Nice.
So yes, any other advice you'd give somebody who's receiving?
Yes, two more. One is pretty much the same as you said, the growth mindset. Actually use every piece of feedback, negative or positive, to actually see what you can keep and maybe even get better at this. Also for your career development, and so like, I am good at this, and how can I actually also use it to help others? So maybe I have a skill, and how can I actually enable others? And there's a lot of studies when it comes to resilience. Giving back is one of the strongest things that you can do for your own mental well-being. If you're actually supporting others who suffer, and you found a strategy to go through that. So see everything as a growth opportunity. If you overcome something that was difficult, and giving back is such a great thing. So always have the growth mindset. What can I learn from here? Both ways. What can I actually make better? And the other thing is like, what can I keep and maybe even give back, which is one of the most important things in our life. And I think we all seek for meaning. The other one, and it's very similar to what I said before about giving.
Yeah.
It's all about intention. So
Right.
always when someone gives you feedback, always assume positive intention. I think when I started my career, I didn't understand this.
Yep.
And then I saw a video that was on the internet many years ago, and that lasted like a whole lecture, because it was the last lecture by Wendy Pausch. He is an amazing professor, and he used the last lecture to give life lessons. And it was the last lecture because he was diagnosed with cancer, and he actually wanted to give his life lessons. And so because of that, it became very personal, and you started to listen, and you knew that he did a lot of reflection, and there was a lot of value in it, and it was amazing. I think everyone who watched it, if you haven't watched it, watch it. You will love it. He was talking. It was the best lecture that I ever had. That is what I always tell people, and I really mean this. It was an IT guy, so I'm not an IT person by trades, but it was amazing. And one story that he shared was about good intentions and feedback. He said he had a coach who was always giving him a hard time because Randy wasn't really a good football player, and his teacher and his coach, he was just giving him a hard time. And someone asked him, like, so how are you going? He's like, oh, I hate it. I want to quit. It's terrible. And he always gives me a hard time. And the person who asked him, I think it was his uncle or someone, said to him, that's a good thing. That's a good thing that he's doing this. He's a good man. He was like, what? Why is that? And he said, like, number one, he cares about you. If you're not important to him, he wouldn't actually tell you what bothers him.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, if he knows that you can change, and if he's doing something, gives you feedback and pushes you further, and you can actually be a better version of yourself, then he would do it. If he would think like, no matter what I do, he will always be average, why should I bother and waste my time? So always assume good intention. If someone does it, it's not like to wreck your day. It's actually make sure that your next day will be better. So having that mindset.
Right. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, look, this has been fascinating, and I hope everybody else finds it as fascinating as I do. I think we'll possibly go for a quick rundown. If we can give maybe a one or two sentence or one sentence version of our key points. Nadia, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Embrace feedback. Embrace feedback. Giving feedback and receiving feedback, because there's something in it for you and for the other.
Okay. All right. And yeah, look, from my standpoint, I always recommend structure, because structure allows you to be consistent, and consistency will always engender more trust between participants. So thank you very much. And to everybody out there, if you would like us to continue this as a series, happy for you to suggest a topic for our next chat. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.